The sun did not simply rise over Ndlovu. It revealed us. Each morning it spilled slowly across the valley, touching the thatched roofs, warming the clay walls, glinting off the river that curved around our village like a patient arm. Goats stirred before people did. Roosters rehearsed their importance. Smoke lifted lazily into the pale sky. On most mornings, the sun came gently. On the morning the parrot spoke, it came like a witness. In Ndlovu, secrets never lasted long. The wind tugged them from careless mouths and threaded them through the baobab branches. The river hummed them downstream to fishermen mending nets. Even the drums, when beaten long enough, seemed to confess things no one meant to say. But the greatest keeper of stories in our village was neither wind nor river nor drum. It was a bird. His name was Kofi. He was not born in our home. My sister found him years ago in the yam fields with one wing bent wrong beneath him. He bit her when she tried to lift him. She lifted him anyway. Amara had always been like that. While other girls braided their hair with bright beads and whispered about husbands-to-be, my sister spent her afternoons grinding millet for our mother or sitting quietly beneath the shade of the neem tree, weaving mats so tightly even the wind could not pry them apart. The elders loved her. They called her Moonchild. Soft, steady, reflecting light without asking for it. Be like Amara, mothers would scold their daughters. See how she lowers her eyes? See how she listens? I was her younger brother, Tendo. And I lived in her shadow, not a cruel shadow, but a long one. Where she was praised, I was tolerated. Where she was trusted, I was tested. Still, she always saved the ripest mango for me. When she brought the broken parrot home, our father laughed. "It will die," he said gently. "It will not," she replied. And it did not. She fed it soaked millet from her palm. She cleaned its wing with warm water. She whispered to it at night when she thought we were asleep. Kofi healed. And like all creatures who survive because someone refused to give up on them, he watched her closely. He learned the rhythm of her breathing, the tone of her laughter, the shape of her sorrow. Parrots remember what we forget we have said. That is their gift. And sometimes their curse. The year of the failed harvest arrived without warning. The rains came late. Then they stopped too soon. The yam leaves yellowed. The maize cobs grew thin and embarrassed. Even the river seemed to shrink from us. Then our father began to cough. At first it was a small thing, a clearing of the throat, a tiredness he dismissed. But the cough deepened. It clawed at him at night. It bent his back. It stole the breath from his chest and left him trembling. The healer came. He smelled of crushed leaves and wood smoke. He pressed his ear to father's chest and frowned. "There is infection in his lungs," he said. "I have herbs that can help." Mother clasped her hands. "We will give what we have." The healer did not meet her eyes. "These herbs are rare. They come from the deep forest. I must be paid in silver cowries." We had none. The harvest had failed. The granary was thin. Our cooking pot sometimes held nothing but water and hope. That night, I heard my mother crying quietly. I heard my sister whispering too, but not to our mother. To the parrot. "I will not let him die," she said. Kofi tilted his head and watched. The silver appeared 3 days later. Amara laid the small pouch before our mother. Mother stared at it as though it might vanish. "Where?" she asked. "At the market across the river," Amara replied. "The mats sold well." Her voice was steady. Her eyes were not. He also had a way of noticing desperation. People spoke of it quietly. Of girls who came back from the river with new bracelets and eyes that no longer shone the same way. No one confronted him. Trade was necessary. And silence was easier. The day of the harvest festival arrived bright and unforgiving. The baobab cast its vast shadow over the village square. Drums pounded gratitude into the air. Women painted in white clay moved like spirits. Children ran barefoot, tasting roasted yam as if it were a miracle. Father stood upright that morning. Still thin. Still fragile. But alive. Pride lit his tired eyes. When the chief rose, the drums quieted instantly. We gather not only to thank the earth, he declared, but to honor courage among us. My stomach tightened. Amara, daughter of Kanda. Step forward. The crowd parted. My sister entered the circle in a wrapper the color of flame. Her head bowed. Her hands steady at her sides. She sold her crafts across the river, the chief announced, so that her father might live. Let her diligence be an example. Applause rose like rain. And then, a rush of green cut across the sky. Kofi. He had slipped his tether. I still do not know how. He landed on the chief's staff, claws gripping sacred wood. The village stilled. Kofi tilted his head, scanning the crowd. Then, in my sister's voice, clear, intimate, unmistakable, he spoke. Forgive me, mother. Forgive me, father. I will go to the trader tonight. The sound did not feel like sound. It felt like something tearing. Amara froze. Kofi continued. He gives silver for beauty. Just a few nights. Just until father breathes again. My mother's wail came before the silence fully formed. The crowd recoiled as though struck. Father stared at Amara. His lips trembled. Is this true? He asked. There are moments when a lie can still save you. My sister did not take that moment. She lifted her face. Yes, she said. Her voice did not break. Mine did. The air thickened with judgment. Women covered their mouths. Men looked at the ground. Whispers spread faster than wind. The chief's face hardened. This dishonor. I stepped forward before I knew I was moving. She saved him, I said. My voice shook, but it carried. She fought alone while we watched her starve with us. While we counted our own coins. While we pretended not to see. Faces shifted. Our village calls itself family, I continued. Yet my sister had to sell herself to save one of its elders. If there is shame here, it is not hers alone. The words felt dangerous. Necessary. Mother dropped to her knees beside Amara and pulled her into her arms. Father followed, slowly, painfully, and knelt before the daughter who had bought his breath. I did not know, he whispered. The chief stood very still. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he struck his staff against the earth. The sin of desperation, he said quietly, belongs to all who allowed it to grow. He looked toward the river. The traitor will be warned. And we will build a granary no household faces alone again. The drums did not resume. But something deeper shifted. In the weeks that followed, Ndlovu changed in ways small and large. A communal storehouse rose beside the baobab. The healer agreed to accept labor when silver failed. The trader returned once and found himself met not by shy girls but by a line of men and women standing shoulder to shoulder. He did not linger. As for my sister, whispers did not disappear overnight. But they softened. Women brought her gourds of grain. Old men greeted her without looking away. Children still ran to her for stories. She still sits at dusk outside our hut. Kofi perches on her wrist now, quieter than before. He has not repeated those words again. Perhaps even parrots learn which truths are heavy enough to leave alone. I sometimes watch the sun slide behind the baobab and think about that day. Secrets can rot a village from the inside. But truth, painful, humiliating, uninvited, can also force it to see itself. And when a village truly sees itself, it must choose to break or to begin again.